Okay, so for Heartbeats by Jose Gonzalez, we're going to be in a slightly different tuning. We're going to drop our E string down to a D, and then our G string is going to go down 1/2 step to an F sharp. And we throw a capo on the 1st fret, and that puts us in the tuning and the key that he's playing in. And we'll start off with the intro, which is also the verse. We're going to find a chord with our left hand that is a little different. It's going to be the 5th fret of the A string and 3rd fret of our G, or the F sharp. And we're going to get used to doing these little hammer-ons from the 4th fret to the 5th fret of the A string. And what's a little bit different about it is once you do the hammer-on, you play the string again. And so that's something that we'll do quite a bit in the song. So I'll put the tab up here and we'll go through it. We start off by hitting our D, our low string, and then we do that hammer on with the repeated strike of the A string. And then, so it's a lot of the same sounding notes. And then we hit the 3rd fret of the F sharp. And then we repeat largely that same thing. Except on the end of this one, we hit the A string open. So we go. And we are hitting the 5th fret of the A string a lot. Sometimes I'll even switch that out for the bass note as well. So you'll hear, or you can see how they largely sound the same. The first way we learned it is the correct way, though. The next chord we'll find is going to be the 2nd fret of the A string and the 4th fret of the high D string. I use my pinky for that just because I find it easier to avoid accidentally muting any neighboring strings. My ring finger might be technically more correct, but it's just a little bit more comfortable and easier to, like I say, avoid accidentally muting any of the other strings next to it. The song is very dissonant, so you want the resonance of all of your strings to play out, and an accidental mute can really kill that dissonance that you want to be audible as you're playing it. So with that chord, we're going to play, and then we do a hammer-on followed by largely the same thing, except we end this run through with the 4th fret of the D string, and then we move on up to the 5th fret of the D. I throw my pinky down on the 5th fret of the A string, just that's more natural and comfortable, because we want to leave a finger up here to do a hammer-on that we're going to come back to in a little bit, but we'll play. And here's our hammer-on. I use my middle finger now to hit the 4th fret, and my pinky to do the hammer-on. And I keep that ring fingers there. And then we hit our A string open, and we go back to our first chord and repeat. So when we play through all of that, we end up with moving on to the bridge. We're going to find a new chord. It's going to be the 7th fret of the D and the A string. And if you notice in the tab, I actually put in parentheses some additional bass notes that for me feel so much more natural to play, and I think you can throw them in there and no one would ever know the difference. It's just more fluid for me to include those. If you listen to the song, I don't think he's actually playing them, But again, it's just much more natural for me to do that with the picking patterns that I'm familiar with. So with those, it sounds like this. And again, feel free to do those if you'd like. Play through that a couple times. Then we go down to the 5th fret of the same 2 strings, the D and the A, and we repeat the exact same right hand. Again, with optional bass notes added in there. We slide back up. And then for one note of the bridge, for one measure, he makes one slight adjustment where he throws down the 7th fret of the high D string. And he plays this. And then it goes back to normal. Play it again. And you can throw in hammer-ons there from the 4th to the 5th fret if you like. The final measure of the song, we're on the 5th fret of the D and the A, and we play. We lift up, play the A, and then we end on this final chord.